let me let me introduce. This is my dad. I had two bottles of water, one for him and me. And we're sitting in this parade and stuff. So we hadn't. I don't think I drank any of it. So we had two little, bottles of water, and I topped the battery actually was low, and I poured both bottles of water in there so you can tell how low it was, and we let it set a little bit, and there was just enough hill that I think we actually had to, it was at the bottom of the hill, and you and I had to push it back up the hill towards the highway.
It was an ideal place because it was just a shallow curve. We could push it up the curve, and it would help us get rolling down
and push
to start it. And then it was a huge hill.
So I think we did it once, and it almost started. And it's like, well, let's try it again, and had to push it back up that little hill.
No.
And then the second time, I think it had enough juice, the battery regenerated a little bit, and maybe the generator was able to provide juice. I think it was the second or third time you actually got it running.
Oh.
And then he went up a little hill, get some elevation so he could roll start it.
Got up there, turned around, and held it there till the rescue wagon came with
my battery and jumper cables, and my brother-in-law showed up. But by that time, we kind of had missed the parade, I think, and he had the car running the whole time, so it was charging. So we decided leave the battery and just book it on home back 10, 15 miles back to the house, and it went fine.
The moral of the story is that, in the old days, they didn't have bottled water. We drank water out of the creek, and now everybody has to have bottled water, so it's good to carry some bottles of water in your Model A.
Yeah.
And it's even better to don't be like this guy. Check your battery.
Yeah.
Once in a while. And I'd never checked this battery. I bought this Model A from a guy in North Carolina. North Carolina? Yeah.
Yeah, near Asheville.
North Carolina. And
it was on the way home from Hershey. Remember, we went up to Hershey, and then I was just looking online, and we're driving through Asheville to get home. And I was like, hey, can we come look at the car? And it's like, I guess it's been like 2 years ago now that we did Hershey. But, it, like I said, the day before it had started probably 4 or 5 times for me just fine. And, the water was sort of low at that point. But I don't know, watching that amp meter as we're driving that morning, once the water gets low, if it boils off quicker or something. I've read, in Les Andrews' book, you can read about the third brush, how much amperage you're pushing to the battery. You can adjust how much. Most of the time, we're not driving at night, not with the headlights on, so it's mainly just the starter power that you're recharging. That, to adjust that third brush. When you were driving this one, did you ever mess with the generator? Because you would drive this day and night. Using the headlights, you would.
That's the short story of this. There's a lot of fun and a lot of interesting things happened. I was once given a ticket for driving on a sidewalk on campus. The campus police actually made an arrest. The judge charged me $10.
Because you were a troublemaker. Well, let me ask you something. When you were visiting a few months ago, or it may have been last year, we got to looking at this and talking about it. And at some point after you bought it, you said you restored the interior, and that these striped seat covers, you bought the materials, and your mom and sister made you seat covers.
Right.
I guess it was a little ragged looking, and before
It was
at
the
some
original, you know, and it was starting to wear through.
Was that in high school you did that, or when did you
Yeah.
restore the interior?
And about that time, this vehicle became a piece of farm machinery.
Yeah.
So it did earlier. Sorghum. Sorghum grows high like corn, maybe even higher. And we were chopping it. Well, the cutter on the chopper had a wheel that helped push it in.
Feeds it in.
But this stuff here was as tall as the ceiling in here, and it just wasn't working. So I said, hey, let me take this Model A here and I'll put a plank across the front and bolt it on through the split bumper. And I will go in the opposite direction, lay it down, and then you come along and take it. And it worked real slick. We had several fields of sorghum. Took care of it with this.
And then it would lean down, and then the feeder was able to feed it in.
For entertainment, we used this Model A when I worked at the snow basin, the ski area. At night, we had a parking lot that had a lot of ice on it. And this wheel here, again, this left front wheel gets a lot of attention. I put a chain on it. We'd get going in the parking lot, I'd hit the brakes, and we would do this number, you know. Oh, that was fun. Well, at one point we did it, and there was a clump of dirt, and it went swinging and hit the clump of dirt. There is a cross axle spring, and it has a center bolt in the middle. And when you do that and you stop real fast, it shears the bolt.
The bolt that mounts to the frame.
The spring leaves slide. And for the rest of the winter, we drove around the campus with the car slanted. And it also had a, I think it was, we never took it apart to find out, but it had a broken tooth in the rear end. So when that happened, I had to drive real easily and slowly, because if it would catch in the gears, it would stop, just stop right then.
Lock the wheels.
And I was lucky enough that it didn't really tear the whole darn rear end apart when it did that.
So did you replace the rear end in this?
Yeah,
you swapped it?
Well, no, we didn't. We on that one there, we went to, I don't know if I should mention this or not. We went to Midnight Auto.
Yeah.
We knew it was a damn Model A that had been
a derelict.
Yeah, it was trees growing over it and everything else. I mean, it'd been abandoned a long time ago, and nobody. And happened to have a rear end fit right in there. But we left the other one there. So,
okay.
You know,
so it was a trade.
We're not all bad.
It was a trade. And the tooth was in there still. It was just in the bottom.
Yeah, did that twice. The other one was an old drunk that never was ever going to cut any more wood. And he had a Model A engine that he'd used to power a saw rig to cut firewood, you know, a cutoff saw. And it would never get used again. It had a manifold heater on it.
Which is this right here, this little waffle thing.
Right there. Well, that thing was on this saw rig, and
your car didn't have one. This car didn't come with one.
No. But we're not all bad, because what we do, we try not to be real bad. I put my exhaust muffler back on in case he should sober up and want to cut some wood. He could still cut some wood, but it wouldn't affect him at all.
Yeah.
And
you got a Midnight Auto heater out of it.
Matter of fact, Ted, that happened twice. You know about the other one. He had an engine on a Model T chassis that run good, crank right up and everything. I had the Model T that I mentioned earlier with the wrong year engine, and it had a starter on it. And I didn't want a Model T with a starter on it because this was a 1917 Model T, 2 years before Henry put starters on Model Ts. He had a guy that he knew that had a saw rig again. And this guy, I doubt that he ever started it up again. It was, you know, he was an old fuddy-duddy, I guess is the nicest way to put it. And it had a Model T motor without a starter on it. And we told him, I said, here's what we can do. We could put a Model T engine in there with a starter on it, and you can put a battery in there and start it and run it anytime you want. So we'll start it up for you and show you.
A modern engine with a starter.
Right. You don't have to worry about breaking your wrists or anything like that, you know. And why are you doing this? You're not trying to be nice to me? No, we're trying to, you know, restore a car to its original engine. It's an older car, you know. We kind of explained it to him. Okay. Well, we did. And
so you swapped engines with them to get. Have you ever checked the serial number?
I never did need to. I
See, because it's yeah,
numbers in it.
Because it's before the starter.
Yeah.
But it could have been, you know, 13, 14, you know, 17. So any of those years, all basically the same.
Remember, we had a bit of an incident when I bought that Model T chassis from you. And we drove it down past Snow Basin and up through the. We were going to take a back road between our houses, which was about 4 miles away. We're taking this back road, and it was muddy. And we didn't have much of a headlight, and make a long story short, it got stuck, and we didn't have anything to get it out. So we left it, walked back to his house, somehow got home, or came back the next day with an axe and a saw, I think, or something. I know we cut a sapling down to pry it out of the mud. And we got it out, got it started and everything. But the rest of the story, after we left, there was some bears that decided to get curious and wanted to see what the heck that was. And then bear tracks all around the damn car. And we hadn't seen them, and I'm
glad they didn't come
kind
back.
of glad we hadn't seen them. Really. They were pretty good sized tracks. So.
Well, you know, I just kind of wanted to ask you a little bit of the history on this car. So, you know, I'm glad, you know, we took the time today to find out more of the history on it. And, you know, as I'm getting close to maybe trying to get it to start and figure out some kind of, I rebuilt carburetor and get the carburetor, get the distributor. I'm gonna have to go through it and kind of rebuild the distributor, get the starter put on. And I have a radiator. I'm not sure if I ever got that other radiator from you.
What?
Yeah, the radiator. I don't know if if I ever found that. 'Cause when you bought your 28, he had an extra radiator, and this radiator is 60 plus years old.
Oh, I got that other radiator.
Yeah, I need to get that one from you because that would work in here.
The one that was on here was okay as far as I know.
I need to flush it at least.
You still got the motor meter?
No, I don't know. I'd have to look through all the parts.
Gosh,
I may have it. I may have in one of these boxes. Yeah, I still have some boxes that I don't even.
Yeah.
I haven't gone through all of them. Yeah, I was looking for the big parts when I was starting on this. Started back on it. I guess it was in February, and so about what is that? 9 months ago, but I only get a few hours a week to really work on this. And so it's slow going. And 2 steps forward, 1 step back, I had to redo the motor mounts, recently, and that makes it take even longer. This front motor mount was rubbing on the pulley, so I had to take it back off and grind it and get some clearance.
Boy,
it's tight.
Yeah, tight.
And that little bit of extra weld that they had left on there, I had to grind off. And, I may have been able to just jack up the engine and use like a Dremel tool to do it, but I ended up having to take the yoke off and grind it on a grinder. So, that wasted, a few hours to get this front mount off. You have to loosen the rear mount to get enough lift to get that front mount out of the frame. But so I'm getting a little further along, and over here you can see the starter right there, and generator, and a spare starter, and that's a spare generator I bought off of, I think, on eBay, just to have for parts to put one generator that works. So I need to start doing a little bit of electric. And I was just, before we started recording, I went up to his barn where I have my little roadster, coopster. It had a brand new battery in it. So I had to get a 6-volt battery to start testing some of these generators and the starter. So maybe moving ahead, but I wanted to just sit here and talk with you a little bit about the history that I didn't know about, and try to get some more of this history on it. So thanks for showing up and doing a video with me. I know we're talking earlier last night about working on his pickup, and I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get up there, probably Thanksgiving or Christmas. So next time I'm thinking that I'll be up at your place, but maybe we can get your pickup running again. I think, we tried to get it running, actually tow started it, and it was sort of running, but horrible. And that truck was a good running truck. And you see in the video where the distributor was stuck in the head and he couldn't get it out, and they end up breaking the distributor housing. So needless to say, I went on eBay, bought a distributor from some guy up in Michigan, I think it was, and he put that distributor in the engine, but whether there's an extra play in the distributor shaft where the bushings are worn. I'm thinking that may have been the problem why it was running so horrible, because you'd gone through the carburetor and gotten the carburetor cleaned up, and we're like trying to figure out why it was running so bad. And I'm thinking it may be the bushings in that distributor, because the original one that was in it that was running, the housing broke on it. He actually had to take the head off to get it unstuck from it was stuck into the head. And in his truck video, I show a little bit of the broken distributor, the housing itself. So when maybe I'll do a video when I can go up there and we can work on it and try to get your truck running again. And right now your 28 runs pretty good. We topped off the battery and it's running pretty good. I think you put you put a new tube in the tire, right? Hmm? You put a new tube in your 28's tire?
Yes.
You bought some new tubes because Memorial Day, we were going to go to another parade, and the tube in the tire, we did a video of taking the tire out, and we put the spare tire on. We did a video on that. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. So in the meantime, he had bought a new tube and replaced the tube in the tire. My car is pretty much just sitting in your barn up there. I haven't done much of anything on it. I think it's actually a sport coupe that somebody put roadster doors on. So it's sort of a sport coupe, and I kind of nicknamed it a coupester, like a roadster and a coupe together. But and a jalopy, you know, it's just kind of a put together car, mashed together parts and pieces. But it's a fun little car. But I haven't driven in it since I don't know how long ago, probably over a year ago. But anyways, I think that's it for this video, and you can go out there and check the other videos. The video on his pickup, you know, is out there. His 28 coupe, and the Model T. We talked about the Model T. There's a video on his 1917 Model T, and my coupester. And there's a lot of videos on this car, and I just wanted to get a documentation of the history of this car is what makes it interesting. But do you have anything else to wrap up?
Just something coming up that you may want to be interested in, and that is I'll mention it right now while I don't forget it. I talked to the president of the Model A Club about one of the shop programs we're doing would be to take the Model T and compare it to the Model A so they can see the improvements that were made from the 27 Model T to the 27 Model A. And I'll show them about buzzer coils that we talked about, and stuff like that. Show them how the bands work.
When are you going to do that?
Huh?
When are you doing that?
We haven't
Set a date
come
yet?
up with a date yet. The calendar's not been prepared, but we plan on doing it. And I would hope to do it, you know, later on next year when my situation with the houses is resolved.
Yeah.
So hopefully
stop repairing these houses and actually retire.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe I could get up there for that, and we could video it, and that would be cool.
Yeah, that would make a good video to
compare side by side. Yeah, we did a little bit of that when I was up there videoing your pickup, and then we videoed the Model T, but not really comparing the two of them. But that would be interesting too.
And you really shouldn't crank it this way.
Yeah, with your
because
thumb over.
Model T can backfire too.
Yeah, make sure you get your timing right and retarded. But anyways, thanks for watching, and click subscribe to see more videos, and click the like button, and these will pop up on your feed. But thanks everybody, and take care. Okay.